Hello.
Howdy,
This is Art Love Collective podcast. I'm Michael Lay,
I'm Tony Dean.
and we're here shooting our third episode.
Yeah, it is number 3.
Yep. We were just kind of talking about what we should talk about, and we have, we figured like we just have a lot of things. We have a lot of things going on, so maybe we'll take the opportunity to like explain the kinds of activities we're doing, the kinds of like relationships like we're building like as a business. You want to start with like what you've been doing or some updates on?
Yeah, sure. Um, well, it has been the Christmas season, so it's been a lot of, well, not a, and also COVID season still, so not a lot of traveling around like your typical New Year. So I got a lot of stuff done.
Yeah.
And it was like, for whatever reason this year, it was crazy busy, like leading right up to uh, the New Year's and Christmas break.
Yeah.
Just in that last week, leading up to the break, there was like 3 new jobs that came in for reverse engineering stuff, like scanning a little push button
Yeah.
or what were the other things? Some covers for some like laminated deck planks.
Okay.
And then also somebody came by the shop and dropped off like a little plastic bracket for their desk at home.
Yeah.
I guess they moved and snapped a couple of these brackets, and you couldn't get replacement parts for them. They didn't want to buy a new desk for just having a couple of broken brackets, or like redneck engineering something to hold up some shelving or what have you. So
Yeah.
perfect application for it. But since there was some extra time over the break, it was easy to get down to the shop and get it scanned and build out in CAD and test prints and all that stuff. Like I was telling you, there was out of the group there was the push buttons for like some classic 8-track players that I was scanning and converting into CAD. But they're really tiny. They're like the size of half your index finger, pinky finger size max. And with a really small hole on the backside. So probably 7. I'm on revision 7 of the data in terms of like tweaking that hole size where it fits onto the shaft and the radio.
Right.
Luckily, they left the radio here at the store, and I could test it out myself. But unfortunately, then that makes me want to do it just absolutely perfectly too. Where I'm just like, that's got a little bit of wiggle. So, but other than that.
And you're saying that there's that part that you just kind of like a hidden part in like the radio device part.
Yeah, I mean it's a really small hole and it's fairly deep compared to the rest of the part because the shaft fits down in there.
Okay.
So like you could put a rod down in there and see how deep it was and kind of design it, with that depth in mind, and you can measure the opening. But I can't tell if there's like an angle to the inner walls or anything that kind of like gradually add pressure to the shaft or whatever. I have no idea, honestly. Like it's a pretty impressively engineered part for it was probably made for obviously on an 8-track player, so 70s or whatever, right? To where it's just a friction fit. I mean, there's no adhesive or anything. You slip it onto the shaft, and the shaft has a couple of teeth on it, but beyond that, it's just a straight rectangular shaft. And yet, even though it's like a friction fit, there's still a function of the radio to where you should be able to pull that button out and like pull that shaft with the button to like for an outward position. Think of like a really old jukebox or whatever where you pull out something like that, or the the pinball machine, where it pulls out
some kind of catch.
Yeah. So it has to be able to one fit securely and fully down onto that shaft, and then 2, it needs to be able to pull that shaft out without the button coming off.
Is there some kind of spring?
There's just some teeth. Well, there's just some teeth on the shaft, and then maybe there's something designed into some draft or something designed into that hole, but it's a really small hole.
And you can't tell from just the old piece, the old button, or do you have an old?
Well, I have the old button because we scanned it,
right?
But you can't see inside that, so I'd have to like either slice it in half, and it's such a small part. By the time I sliced it in half with a saw, I'd probably deform it so much to where the
shave off the
it really
minuscule details.
I mean, I just have no idea how I would get that sort of information. But I think it really boils down to like the original parts are mass production, injection machine molded,
Right.
and then I'm using SLA, like the liquid resin 3D printing,
Right.
and so that's UV, the resin's UV cured, and so if it's a really deep narrow hole, you can't get light into there to cure it too, so it's kind of soft.
Right.
There's just it's just one of those things. So just I think I've got the designs to the best that they're going to be able to be for a 3D printed part, and we'll do some test fits with them and see if they want to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like what you're providing your customers is, first of all, it's probably most of your clients, it's their first time designing something 3D printed, or requesting like 3D printed stuff.
A lot of times, yeah.
Right, like you're gonna be their you're gonna be their introduction to the 3D printing world. So I mean, I don't know. Like it seems like in your exploration, if that's like what you just said, that's as far as you can go with 3D printing, and then it would have to be some other technology or some more information to do beyond the scope of scanning and printing like that you do. And
yeah, that's
you
true.
have other,
that's true.
So I think it's kind of like you can kind of like what you can take away from that is that's it. That's what I can do. And if I want to do more, I need more information or I need more equipment or whatever. Knowledge, just studying how to do something like that.
It's tough because it's a perfect application for 3D scanning and printing because like how many people out there really need replacement push buttons for their 1972 8-track player, right? They're probably selling, 30 of these a year or something, because there's like 5 buttons per radio and it's not going to match perfectly. So let's say, you're just going to buy all 5 buttons, a replacement set of them. How many people really need to replace, really what they're selling to is like classic car people that, they have a broken 8-track player button and they just want their classic car to look perfect. I mean, and what percentage of the population is that person, So, if it was more people, I would say, yeah, let's do like a prototype injection mold and injection mold these parts or something. But I don't think that's in the cards. So.
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know, maybe if you did radios or even like car interior parts as your thing, but you're doing anything that could be plastic printed, within size restrictions. So, you know what I mean? Like if you specialized in it, then maybe like you would get a better understanding. But it seems like you're never gonna get this client again. I mean, that, or he might come back to you or whatever. But like you're never gonna get someone else that has a classic car radio button. Likely, right? You're just probably gonna get everything else.
At least not
at
least not this specific one. I mean, I'm sure that there's. I mean, I actually, that was the plan this year before COVID hit was to go to more car shows, like classic car shows, because I kind of thought that was an opportunity of, if you're right, like I said, there's not many people, but if you're right there, say like what is it, like the Good Guys car show or something, really huge car shows. In the Columbus area. It's kind of like in between, right? So like, if I was right there and you have, 5,000 classic car people, not even necessarily the people that are showing, but the people that are looking. A lot of times the people that are going to these car shows have a car at home that they're working on or something like that, project car, or they're looking at doing something, But if I could just take a small scanner and just kind of be like, have a booth set up there, and as people are walking around, they're like, maybe they're walking around with this, or they can run back to their car, they're like, you know what, I've got this spare part that I can't find another thing for, and I could give them a demo scan right there, and then just to show them like kind of generally what the process is, and then from there say like, do you want to refine this more and get some.
What I've noticed with you is you have no, I don't know what to say, like you don't discriminate what the project is or what the field is or anything.
No.
You're really.
I actually like that it's always different. That's kind of why I did this.
You said that like it drives you crazy doing the same things over and over again, and like not growing, not learning skills or whatever it is. But yeah, that's like you're kind of like that pure problem solver engineer type mentality where you're like, where's the problem? like I'm not here to define what that is. Or
Yeah.
you're not there to
Can I
define
help
that.
you or can I not help you?
Yeah.
No, a lot of times a lot of times, it's something that I can't help them with. Be like, nah. Well, if scanning can solve the problem, then yeah, I can help you. But if it's like, oh, I need something sintered out of metal, like I need a metal prototype. Be like, well, I mean, I can get you in touch with some people that I know that do machining or whatever. So a lot of times I like to be that resource. I love helping people like that. I mean, that's easy. Just dip into your, you meet so many interesting people at some of these conventions and stuff like that that your contact list. If you're focused on a certain field like scanning or printing or something like that, you can find a lot of people.
Now, and you said that maybe if you had the money, your next kind of big investment would be, was it laser etching? Is that right? Or,
yeah. Well, actually,
could you explain what that is?
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because that all changed just a couple days ago. I'll circle back to that. So laser engraving, the first thing is kind of what you have. I guess the best way to explain. Well, most people obviously know what engraving is. Like if you have some, say you buy an iPad or whatever, and Apple says, "Would you like your name engraved on the back?" That's how they're doing it. So it's the aluminum on the back of their machine. They put it down, and then the same general technology that controls like a 3D printer, CNC, controls the XY coordinates of this laser that just goes around and is etching out, slowly burning away material in the shape that you want. So you can do with more powerful lasers, you can cut shapes out completely from thinner woods, or you can etch it into glass and things like that. And so whenever I'm looking at investing in some equipment, I want it to be able to produce some money for the business. That should be kind of like your goal with just about any investment, right?
Yeah.
So it was between that and wait.
Is it still cutting utensil that you're thinking?
Well, there was laser engraver.
Not CNC.
Oh, yeah, CNC, thank you. So
you're thinking now getting CNC cutter.
Well, so there's multiple things that were swirling around. So it was, do I want to get a laser engraver / cutter? Like a large one where I would need to, clear out some serious room in the shop. Or then I was also looking at doing a wood CNC, like the actual, like a CNC router, which is basically where a lot of this technology kind of started out with people, carving stuff out of wood with, a router bit that's just controlled that same way. So I was kind of like beaten between those two. And like I said, it's been really busy for the past few months, so I finally saved up enough money to make that investment.
Okay, you have. Yeah.
And so I was going back and forth, and I was like, which one do I want to go for? What's going to be the best return for the money? And either one would also come with a learning curve. Like I haven't done either of them, although the technology is very similar to 3D printing.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more of a money than a new acquire. I mean, like you transfer knowledge more so. Or like
I mean, I would have to learn. I would have to learn about whatever I get into. Which, of course, before you go into it, you learn the basics and whatnot. But hands-on with the machine is how you're gonna learn.
We use like similar modeling, like our programs.
Maybe, similar programs. It all boils down to whether it's a printer or a CNC laser or a CNC cutter for wood. It's really just telling the computer and the machine where in space do you want a piece of equipment to be. So if it's a laser cutter or a
do you mind if we show
router.
Your new 2D pieces? I can grab them right here.
Oh, the 2D pieces? Yeah, sure.
These are cut by...
Not cut.
Oh, these are printed.
Yeah, these were 3D. Oops. Yeah, all 3D printed. So like a Rubik's Cube. So it's really thin. And it's just, 3D printed.
Yeah, it's like a couple millimeters thick.
Yeah, no more than a couple millimeters. And it's just an outline. So if you if you draw something digitally in a solid color, then
This is a coffee mug. This is like a Japanese kimono, or that's
like a geisha or something.
Like a sun. What are those?
That's an umbrella. Yeah.
What are they called? Yeah.
Little yin yang thing.
Oh, cool. Tree yin yang.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I mean, so really, you're just telling, you know, say you wanted to burn this image out of something. You're just telling the computer, you know, the laser, it's only moving on one plane. It's going in any direction on this plane.
Right.
And so you're just saying, like, telling it through G code, which controls basically all CNC stuff, like the laser engravers or wood engravers or what have you, where you want that burning unit to be. So it's really more so the mechanical side of things, like learning how to maintain and treat the equipment and clean it, and training others on it, and making it efficient. And the big thing is right now I sell more of a service than anything, right?
Okay.
Scanning, printing, things like that. It's all kind of like custom to me. Whereas with the laser engraver or the wood CNC, I wasn't thinking of it so much as like custom jobs. I was thinking of, trying to come up with products to put out there on the internet or whatever and try to sell things direct to consumers.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was the part that I was the most apprehensive about. Because I mean, I know that I can learn things, right? I've always learned that sort of thing.
Oh, so the product building part is what intimidates you? Is that what you're saying pretty much, or versus like
the
just
online commerce portion of it? I think is the more intimidating part.
Okay.
So like if I would need to come up with some products, on a laser engraver, which there's so many talented artists around here and stuff like that. I'm sure I'd be able to find something to engrave onto like a cutting board or some other thing or whatever and make it work. But the effort involved of like setting up an online shop and like handling the orders and the shipments and follow-ups and customer issues or whatever. That's why I didn't want to do custom stuff. Just come up with products that will sell.
Right.
But anyways, as I was going through that whole process, it just so happened that the next level up of 3D handheld scanner that I have wanted for a while, finally saw a great deal online for one of somebody selling one that was just within my budget. So I pulled the trigger. Just two days ago. So hopefully by the end of this week, I'll have the Artec Space Spider in house. So I've been outsourcing a lot of work where people would use a Space Spider anyways to assist me. So it just made sense to, it's like, I know how it works. If I had one in my hand, I could do it. But I'm going to have you do it because I don't want to, if I was to rent the scanner, it's like $300 a day plus shipping.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And how much does the device cost? Or?
Well, I think it retails for like $24,000. So like
this is handheld.
Yeah, handheld. Yeah, I always joke with people. It's like some people buy some people buy Corvettes and motorcycles.
Right.
When they're in their 30s going 40s, and they're buying toys.
Right.
I buy scanners and printers and things like that. Yeah. Software.
Yeah.
So yeah, it always sucks to like hold that in your hand and like don't drop it. But that's just one of those. It's one of those tools that I've already been using indirectly.
Right.
It's the same company that my current scanner is with.
Right.
So I can actually I can use my current scanner that's better with larger parts.
Yeah.
So like say.
So it's common, or it's it uses common.
Same ecosystem kind of thing, right?
Fair enough.
So like I could scan this window with my large scanner, and then I could scan it with the smaller scanner to get all the minute details.
Oh, you could like.
And then I could combine
add to it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I could combine that.
Oh, that's.
So in the past, I could only do like large part, or I'll have to use a separate scanner. I already have a small part scanner.
Would the newer, finer scanner still do large things, or is there a reason for using like the crappier scanner for the large? Like the large
you would
scanner?
Still want to.
Okay.
I definitely want to call it the crappier scanner, just the large part scanner, because you would scan
it's
a large.
So it is a large. Okay. So there is like how much of a.
Yeah, it's purely like what's your usage. Yeah. Okay. And when I first was getting into this, I was running into a lot larger items. Yeah. But the more that I used the scanner, the more I realized, and also got customer feedback and know what kind of jobs I've been seeing.
Right.
And at almost every job, I'm like, man, I wish I had this scanner for it. So I think that this scanner will make my life easier. I think it'll make me be able to say yes to more jobs.
Okay.
It'll be able to help people, and it'll be a great it'll be a great one to bring to conventions and stuff like that
Yeah.
because you can, people walking around, they could be like, oh yeah, here, scan my cell phone. I could be like, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
scan the cell phone. Whereas with the other scanner, I'd be like, well, it's only really
Yeah.
good with like larger items.
Yep.
So, do you want me to scan your face? And then no.
I'm guessing throughout your clients, you've had a lot of times where you had to say no to something, or at least be like have low confidence in like scanning something because you don't have the finer, more expensive scanner.
There's been that, or I've had to outsource it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And so
Well, that's the same thing.
exactly.
You still have to.
I say
reject
yes
it,
to
or-
them, but then I'll like outsource it to a
Yeah.
partner that I know has the scanner, and then they'll give me the data, and I can do what I need with
Right.
it.
And then and also like there's that magic period where you don't have the new thing yet, but you have a lot of people interested, and you've committed to getting it. You're just like, I just need this time and money and this and that, learning time and that kind of thing maybe. But like with that time, you get everyone excited. And so you get, even if they're not like actually reserving you or your service for something that would require any of the new equipment, you would have like a queue building. So,
Yeah.
that's just a kind of like, I don't know, like realistically think about like what investments you're making and like how much of a loss it is, how fast you're going to return your investment, that kind of thing. Like, I think with the business you've built up, you have a lot of clients, you have a lot of traffic, and you have to turn down a lot of that traffic for this reason. And you could charge higher for, even, I'm sure you'll eventually, maybe not at first because you don't know what you're doing with the new equipment as much, but at some point
That's
you're
the
going
great
to
thing
charge
is that
more
it's
service.
super easy. Like it's the
Oh,
same.
okay.
It's the same equipment, just like different size parts.
Yeah, and more
Yeah, so-
expensive, and then more detail and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's good then.
Yeah,
So-
I'm hoping that it turns out well.
But you could still charge. Well, then that's even better. Then you could charge more, not for more effort, but I mean it still is more effort, and it's more responsibility, and you're like, as in like you're gonna have more liability. You're gonna. That's the thing with business, right? Like the better you get at your field,
Well, yeah,
the
I
more
mean-
people expect, and so like you can't fuck up as much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, regardless of like my skill with the scanner or whatever, like the scanner, just scanner side by side.
Yeah.
You would, if you're scanning the same item with both these scanners, regardless of size,
Right.
the accuracy of like my current scanner would be 0.5 millimeters.
Mhm.
So up to 0.5 millimeters, it'd be accurate of what it's capturing.
Okay.
And then the new one will be 0.1.
Okay.
So 5 times better.
Right.
And so
Well, it's funny because I use 0.5 and 0.1 pens, like illustration
right,
pens.
yeah.
And,
Oh yeah, very. And so
and obviously everyone's used to
0.1's very
0.5.
fine then, right?
Yeah, and so it's kind of like I know that difference. Like 0.1, like it's hard not to break it. Like whether it's a pen or a
Very
pencil.
light pressure.
Yeah. The pen tip will just like bend like nothing.
Mhm.
And 0.5 is like pretty much the lowest we people can do without breaking, but it has that, fine tip. Like that's why 0.7s kind of suck.
I always forget what the diameter of human hair generally is.
Oh, I don't know.
I-
Less than 0.1.
Back in
And then there's got to be
is
a
it
variation
point,
too.
I think it might be
I know some
point,
people.
I think it might be 0.1.
Oh,
Like
really?
it's pretty thin.
Yeah, well, the 0.1. I mean, I just imagine it'd be thinner than that.
Maybe.
But I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know.
And some people really have coarse hair. Or thin
Yeah,
hair,
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of like.
But I
you
can
know,
understand
devolved
that
in-
difference, like because of.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying? Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying that kind of went, all in on, all of my gabbing about what I've been doing over the break and throwing money.
I mean,
into
you're
investing
doing
and
a
stuff
lot
like
more
that, but-
complicated, difficult, like, as Joe Rogan would say, like, palm sweaty stuff, like.
Palm sweaty.
Yeah, like he says that about, like I was listening to him interviewing a rock climber, but he often like says, like when he's observing someone doing something really difficult that just takes a lot of patience and, whatever, like his palms get sweaty because he gets nervous. And like, so when you're talking about like dealing with, coming from a fellow business person that's starting out a little later than you, but like just hearing about your clients and like the requirements and like what you have to do to meet those requirements and all that stuff, it makes I mean, not literally really, but
Yeah.
it makes me nervous. It's like, man, like I don't envy you. Like I mean, your business, like, yeah, looks great. I'm envious of that stuff. Like,
Mhm.
things are going well, but like, I don't envy your workload. Like,
Entrepreneurship versus like what field are you in?
yeah, exactly. I mean, we obviously have concentric circles with just, you know, trying to leave the office
Yeah,
and trying to like figure out client base and whatever. But
that's true. That's
my
true.
stuff and yeah, and I don't know. It's kind of funny. Like, I don't even know. It's one of those things where I could either go if I kind of like thought of things binarily, like there's either the direction where I try to learn more things that kind of like I try to build skills or like I try to build my toolbox or whatever you want to call it, just add things like you do. Like that's I would describe you that way. Like you're always adding to a large tool bag or toolbox, and you have a lot of skill sets. And I do too, like probably more than the average person. If you end up asking me about my life and stuff, they're like, oh, I seem like I'm someone that can pick up things quickly. But in reality, I feel like I've just been slow and steady all my life. So like I feel like I'm slow to learning basics. But like I also like if there's something to complete, I like to complete. If there's something to if there's a practice and if I'm into that practice, I do it. But I feel like if I could kind of force myself to go, should I learn more things or should I just, let's say I have
Perfect
10
what you
things and you have 15 things. I'm like, should I add more things or yeah, should I just make those 10 things better? And it's funny because a lot of the people's voices around me, like,
The voices.
the voices tend to there's a lot of tendency.
Here's what you should do, Michael.
Yeah, the shoulds tend to be, oh, you really should learn how to advertise your work. Like, you really should like learn, how to, uh, what's it called, like for your taxes where you
Do
exempt
accounting
things.
and stuff like that.
Just taking care of things.
I felt that way with a lot of things.
Yeah.
With my business, of course, I like obsess over like the technical, the stuff that I want to obsess about, right? Like if I get into something, like if it's juggling, I'll just juggle nonstop until I can figure out how to juggle. But like forcing myself to like learn the accounting side of things, I'll learn the bare minimum that I need to.
I'm taking notes here.
I'm learning the bare minimum, but like even if I wanted to learn more, it's almost one of those things where you take a look down the rabbit hole and you can see like, oh God, do I really want to spend that much time and effort? And will another skill that I could have been working on suffer because of that? I think we were talking about that the other day where it's like, man, I can't wait until, our business grows to the point where I can hire somebody that's better than me at something to where I can then take that energy that I would have to put into getting that good at something.
I think we're definitely similar. I think we threw away our ego, at least in our business. Maybe, but like we kind of threw away our pride in like I have to be the one that does it. Like it has to be my name. Like, I definitely have thrown that away. Because I'd rather see a great product. I'd rather see a satisfied client, or repeat clients. I'd rather see growing business than really be my name imprinted or me getting credit or me being the one that's known to have gotten this part done or whatever. Yeah, it's better that way. Yeah, I feel that way. Sorry, but what were you saying? Kind of like looking down the well, maybe how you put it. Where
I want to learn this? At the end of the day, do I want to learn that?
Right.
Like that's. I mean, you're gonna have to suck it up and do some things that you don't want to do.
Right.
But the whole point of starting Protocept.
But you like to just do a little, like do the bare minimum. I think is what you're.
Of stuff that I don't want to do.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's where I'm taking mental notes. Where I'm like
stuff that I don't want to do.
Even just applying for.
Well, it's not even stuff that I don't want to do. It's more so of stuff that I know that I will be subpar at doing versus.
Yeah. Well, things that you don't want to do but have to do. Like, for
like
business and stuff.
outsourcing isn't a bad thing, right. But it's also you gotta play. I always make sure that if I'm outsourcing something, I'm paying for that too. It's not like I don't get a lot of freebies, but I also recognize like, hey, you're better at this than me. can you help me with this?
Of course.
How much time do you think it'll take?
Yeah.
Work something out, and then you're helping somebody else out that paying them for being better at something.
Right.
Like I definitely recognize that.
Now, have you often had to, like, if you're asking, someone who does the thing that you need to outsource because you can't do it or you don't want to do it, have you been in situations where you pretty much like put them at this like not a standstill, but where they're like, oh, am I gonna be that serious about my thing? Like if you're talking about hobbyists, that you're almost asking them to at least do some business with their hobby. I don't know about there's that person that hand painted your 3D models.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if she was used to like doing that. Like a lot of people I've encountered this. Maybe that's why I'm saying is I feel like I know a lot of artists for the simplest sake that shy away simply because it's a project with a deadline. And they're
I can see that, yeah.
And it's and maybe that's why I asked. Like, do you feel like
I'll tell you what the biggest pitfall's been specifically with art, and not just with the person I have paint some of my models, but just like any sort of artwork that I've or not artwork but artwork I've outsourced.
Yeah.
Is
especially we deal with some artists to complete your projects.
Yeah. It's normally the pitfall that I see is they don't know what to charge.
Right.
It's normally like they're either doing it as a hobby or they'd like to take it to the next level.
Why would you say that is? Because I have an answer in my head as to why artists have this.
There's probably been books written about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of podcasts, like pretty much like therapy podcasts for artists and stuff.
Well, I think it really is.
Us. But why do you think we feel that way?
Well, I think that
we undervalue ourselves, right?
Yeah, I think that it's definitely an artist thing, for lack of a better term. Because like if I go to somebody and I'm like, I need this, this cutout of lumber, and I don't know, like how much would it?
Right.
Can you help me out with
and
this?
They're just
and they already know. Like they'll just be like, either they'll just cut it for you for free because they know that it's a super easy job or whatever, because it's not going to take them hours and hours of time.
Right.
Or they're already doing it like kind of as a side hustle. That's who I really like to deal with, because those are the people that are driven anyways.
Right.
If you really do have a deadline, you're kind of rolling the dice working with a hobbyist unless they really want to make that jump.
That would be, for example, a builder.
Yeah.
Like someone who built bird cages and shelves when they were in high school, and then they just kept it going.
Yeah. And they can easily say like, oh, I'm going to need this much lumber. I'm going to need 2-3 hours on
the artist. I feel I want to kind of come back to this where it's like it's such
the artist
a
has no
different
idea.
creature, right?
Yeah, and I
you're
completely
dealing with
understand.
a different, and it doesn't, and it's not necessarily because what they're doing isn't as valuable. But why do you think it is that we self-perceive as high value, and then like some of us like value ourselves so high that it like kind of makes the rest of us. So it's I feel like it's almost an extreme. People that sell well, they sell so high that they like drive up the market, and then the rest of us, like the larger majority, we sell low or we try to give away and we fail at that.
Well, that's
and
the
it's
problem
not
with
necessarily
art,
skill, right?
That's the
Like
problem with art. I mean, like it's talking about like, well, why does Brad Pitt get paid $10 million to do this movie, but they're only paying, I don't know who, X amount of money.
Why is that skill? Well, acting is the same way, of course.
Yeah, you demand a higher pay with
he has that
reputation.
End of the bottle right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to be him, or anyone of that status. Like it sounds horrible, but yeah.
But ultimately, I think to boil down the question, I think a lot of times the issue is just not knowing how much am I worth an hour, and how many hours will it take me to do something.
Right.
If you're not able to estimate the time that it will require you to do something, you really have no idea how to assign a cost to the thing that you're doing.
Right.
So, a lot of times they'll just, and maybe at the beginning this is okay, but it'll just be kind of like, well, I don't know how much do you think that this should be, or how much is your budget, you know,
Right.
or whatever. And if you'll help, and if I can help them out with that, I'd be like, well, you know, I'm gonna sell this for X.
Yeah.
You know, I've got X into it. I'd like to get this done for under X.
Right.
If you can have that conversation, you can kind of guide them and help them on that.
Right.
And let, you know, okay, that's not going to be worth my time, or yeah, it's going to be worth my time, or,
Yeah.
you know. But if it's really just kind of like, well, I'm quoting this for somebody, and I want to know now before it's done,
Yeah.
you know, how much do you think this would take you to do? Then it's a little bit more difficult.
So what I'm gonna say, I mean, all that is true, but when I think about the real like psychological issue at hand, it's because as artists, and let's just stick with like painters or drawers, because like artists could be taken so many ways. There is no like 1-for-1 ratio of what we're worth in the market from based off of our product usually, because you need a judge for it. Because other than that, like a whole 30 people could be assigned to paint something in a classroom, but the professional artist versus the non-professional artist, that's worth more. But
That's
it's
the one
also
you're gonna want to take home and hang on the wall.
yeah, but like you know, and then it's like usually it doesn't take a genius to do a basic list 1 through 30. 30 people paint it. You know, let's say you don't consider yourself an art critic in any way, but like you can be like, this one's the best.
This art is good.
There's usually gonna be like 3 or 4 that are good.
Mm-hmm.
Most are like boring, and some suck maybe. I don't know. Like,
Out of 30 people, there'll be a sucky one.
yeah, for sure. Like
Unless they're all like artists, like
but
competing for
but
it.
it's so hard to like evaluate that in the end, as an artist, like, you know, I'm asked to do a mural or paint a 3D printed sculpture. In the end, it's, I think, in society at least, or like in the society or the culture that we're brought up in, I just feel like we don't have like a target price, and in fact, our target price is so cheap and mass produced. You know, like the 1-for-1 of our stuff is already in a glass frame, and it's of a painting of flowers in a field, or you know, a watercolor sea turtle at TJ Maxx. And it's like $10 or $15 already framed in glass.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to like make something just on paper, you know? And
That's
it's just
true.
like,
That's hard
how
to
is
get-
this?
yeah.
You know, and that's where it's, you know, it's like, even as I say it out loud, it's like inherently like, how the hell do you compete with something like that if that is the value? But
Yeah.
that's, I don't know, that's the part where,
But that's also motel art. You know, like
Yeah.
you know, like you got that same
Yeah.
picture is in like, you know,
it's funny because my dad,
5,000 people's houses.
it's funny
you
that
know.
my dad like recommended like a couple years ago. I think like when I was like becoming much more serious into art, he was like, you know, I think you should try to like submit to like hotels. I think that's what you should do because hotels put up good art.
Do
And
they?
I mean, I've seen good art in hotels. I mean, I've seen really bad art in hotels
Yeah.
too. But there's just, I
I
mean,
feel like
usually,
they generally get a bad rap for
Well,
like
a lot of-
having some crappy
I don't
painting on the
know.
wall or
I've been to
something,
a
right?
few random hotels recently for work, for like
I never
traveling
thought
and
that they
stuff.
were ever actually painted. I always figured they were mass
A
produced.
lot of them are painted,
Really?
and a lot of them are unique, depending on the room. Like
Really?
recently, I went to a motel room or a hotel, and I switched rooms just because of the scheduling or whatever. But it had a different set of paintings in the same layout room.
And it was completely different art.
I mean, it was
Artwork.
probably the same artist, same series, something
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, different. And
Mhm.
maybe they have like 10 that they cycle out. But that's the thing is that's my opposite side of the conundrum is, well, how are we supposed to value ourselves? Because yeah, TJ Maxx and Target has it, but as like, especially as Americans, we're so unique and individualized that we want our special one. We actually have a high demand for art. We just don't value it like that's true.
Well,
And,
and
you know,
I think
can't
that's
change
also
that.
kind of what you were talking about, like the upper echelon of society has a super high value for art. You know?
Exactly.
Like
Well, yeah,
they-
that too.
they-
Yeah.
like the
It's very
money bags that
skewed.
have like lots
Yeah.
of lots of expendable income, and they're just like, you know what, I just want something nobody else has, and I
And,
want this made.
You know, if you ask a
custom and-
lot of like modern artists,
That's the way it's been in the past too, right?
Well, no,
Sugar
think
daddies.
about that. But like, think about the high art. you know, old European paintings of royalty or whatever. Um, and really, like, if they're famous, it doesn't really matter where they came from, it's where they ended up. But also, on the opposite end, what's like, it's funny because what I find as the most valuable art is great street art.
I always
Which is
love watching
like,
those videos online.
Yeah.
Like, you know, some random dude with
Oh,
spray paint being able to
it's
just make
amazing.
this gorgeous
Yeah.
things in like 5 minutes.
and the thing is, it's more not, I mean, you know, let's say you compare that versus Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel and like a whole large factory wall covered, and multiple artists maybe, but
Mhm.
still, let's say like you compare two like similar size spaces, like the value of the Sistine Chapel, you know, is probably one of the, you know, highest realty ever in the world, right?
Yeah.
And some factory wall that can't afford to, you know, fend off the street art because they're in a crappy part of town, or like some hidden shadow part of like an urban area. It's like foot square footage, like so low in value, but it's funny. I mean, that's where I'm kind of like, that's where I try to pinpoint. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to like imagine how art's going to change, or like the view of art, because we need to have, as a society, we need to have more value for artists. I think, especially because, and maybe I'm coming from someone where that I studied art. I took art really seriously in high school, really seriously in college, and I took Japanese just to prove that I'm also smart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to be pinned as like this artist, dopey, whatever. Like, oh, you just paint, and so you fuck off, and like, seriously, you know, it's hard not to like keep that stereotype out of people's heads when you say you're an artist. So,
Well, yeah. If somebody asks you, "What do you do?" and you say, "I'm an artist,"
right,
that's a tough one. Like, well,
It's-
what's that
it's
mean?
tough, right?
What's that mean?
it's
Yeah.
hard to dignify.
So what do you
yourself.
really do?
I mean, unless you.
Yeah.
The thing is,
Unless
it's
you're just
easy
like
to
a famous
dignify
artist,
if
yeah.
you're at the gallery showing your stuff and you're saying I'm the artist. You're the coolest person in the room.
You just be like, "Oh, I paint things." You
But
know,
if
like,
you're
I'm
right,
painting
if you
it.
have no
Yeah.
references, and you know, I don't, you could show artwork on your phone, but no one likes to look at other people's stuff. On
Yeah,
their phone.
exactly.
It's like, oh, I don't know, especially if you're not into art.
Yeah.
But like, it's funny because
So what's your
that
day
change-
job then?
Yeah, there's
You
the
know,
day
what's your-
job, or like, what have you sold? Like, what's your commission rate? What's,
Yeah.
you know, like these questions that like an accountant could make sense of. You know, I really want to. Not that I can flip around the world, but I do, at least like in our micro universe here in the shop and kind of like the stuff we're doing. I really want to start flipping that, because I want to point out to society, at least the society that, you know, engages with us, that it's almost like create this ultimatum in society, um, where you need art. Stop denying it. And art, and it doesn't count that it's a TikTok video or
It doesn't
you know,
count that it's a TikTok
like,
video.
yeah, it's, or that it's like
You're talking about content creation.
Hello Kitty, like I'm trying to like list off a bunch of commercial things. Doesn't even matter. Just list off a bunch of commercial things. That's not what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? None of those things count as art. They're in the disguise of art. You know, they come in posters and T-shirts and you know.
So you're not going to
just
sell
branding.
T-shirts.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're in the disguise of those things, which should be art. Like T-shirts, I think, you know, that's my belief as an artist. Like T-shirts should be art. You know, like art clothes are art. You know, fashion. And I don't just mean high fashion, but just like our daily clothes. We make decisions about our colors and our stripes and stuff. But I'm really sick of like society kind of thinking that artistry is it has to be like accounted for, you know, it has to be backed up by something else, you know.
Like, how much of an artist are you in monetary numbers, please? Like, is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Well, it's funny because that's what's expected out of us, but in reality, because everyone treats us in that view, we can't get past it. Like, it's like this mass trauma of artists that just like have just been told over and over again, like, that's not enough. That's not enough. And
artist isn't like
just yeah,
what
being
you're
an
doing
artist.
isn't
Like
enough?
if I say I'm an artist, it's not
Well, what
just
else
like
do you do?
that's
Like
the
that?
thing. That's such an initial like gut reaction or you know.
What's he really do?
That's it's what do you really do? What else do you do? What have you done with it? As if like
Well, I think a
yeah,
lot of that is, and I feel like we touched upon this before, I think we touched upon it in terms of entrepreneurship and people like, taking that risk to step out, quit their day job, try to do something from scratch, build something up. I mean, that's the same thing you do with art. And I think that's a lot. I think a ton of people. I'm sure that there are just tens of thousands of people in the U.S. alone that would love to full time be producing art, but they don't, And
the entrepreneur is a good word because I heard that on this podcast. Terry something. I'm not even gonna name call him right, but he's a famous illustrator. I haven't even seen his work, but I like his podcast. He says that modern day artists have to become entrepreneurs.
yeah,
Like,
for sure. If you want to be artist as a profession,
right,
you have to be
right.
able to sell yourself and your art.
I mean,
or at least hire somebody else that can
to
market for
freelance
you.
artists or something of the type. There are lots of corporate design jobs and stuff.
Yeah,
Production
I suppose
studios.
that's true. If you just want to do graphic design and something.
And so, I'm kind of dismissing all that. I kind of am dismissing all that in the sense that it's not that you can't find work doing art, but I'm not dismissing that in the sense of how culture treats us. Because if you are a graphic designer,
you can say I'm a graphic designer, and people won't bat an eye at that.
That's what I'm saying.
Because if you're a graphic designer, you're doing advertisements for
sure.
You're mostly doing.
So let's say I'm average, quasi judgy, insecure American person. That's doing some more average job than an artist, because artist isn't really an average job. Yeah, let's say I'm that person. I'm gonna be kind of like, oh yeah, you're a profession as an artist. Cool, that's fine then. But like kind of like your simple stereotype intuition is, what else is there? If you say you're an artist and you work at Kinko's, which is just like, oh,
are you a sandwich artist at Subway?
Yeah, sure. That too. Like that's, and it's funny because we had that thought, and so the graphic designer is going to have more respect than the librarian or Kinko, whatever, like some Subway person that is an artist,
because it's tied to like a more corporate feeling.
But I feel like I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I do think there is it's kind of like a difficulty a difficulty to ascend as an artist without kind of like getting that basic dignity in society. I think that's the most difficult part collectively as like the art world. It's not hard to get dignity as in anything in law or medical and money. You're gonna probably, or like accounting stuff, people are gonna find you boring and maybe even dislike you. But like you're kind of getting like your accounting, like your money dignity.
Well, I certainly feel like well, I can't remember if I ever mentioned this on the podcast or not, but like, well, no, I certainly did. My first year of college was music.
Yeah. You did mention that.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, anyways,
first year of college was music
education.
Right. Didn't want to teach anybody anything, so probably had to get out of education.
Oh, that's what. So it was the teaching part.
Yeah, I didn't really feel like teaching it. I mean, because if you put yourself try to brush on it real quickly. Going into music education, you're also throwing yourself into like college level music study,
right?
And so you're going into pretty difficult, music theory,
right.
And you're learning all these things, and you're really pushing yourself. You're learning piano, you're working on your primary instrument, you're working on lots of different things,
right.
And at the end of the day, all it really is going to do is get you that degree to then teach the very basics to somebody. So, So to me, I was like, whoa,
yeah.
So why would I learn? Like, it's not that I'm lazy. It's more so it's kind of that payoff thing that's always in my head. It's like, wait, so
the payoff thing.
So I'm going to work for 4 years, push my musical level, to the max that it can possibly be, which sounds great.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, I had already recognized that I wasn't going to be like a famous musician.
Right.
I wasn't going to be good enough to where, and maybe that's just self-doubt or whatever, but like I wasn't going to be good enough to make a full-time living just playing a trumpet.
Oh yeah, if you didn't join the symphony when you're 23 out of college, then is what's going through your mind. Like that would be the route where you could push it and go to bigger shows.
I
and
mean,
get better.
even then, it's like to be a musician, that's what you do. It's kind of the same thing as artists, It's
It's the same
like,
exact thing. I was just simplifying it as painting, and I don't understand the music world. But
and the crazy thing is
you're putting yourself out there a lot more as a musician, as
yeah,
a
live
performer,
performance
at least,
and stuff. Yeah,
any kind
for
of
sure.
performing. Yeah,
I mean,
just yourself.
even if you'd probably be all right if you could, if it would be all right, and I would suggest this to anybody that's thinking about what instrument should my kid play, guitar or piano, organ, like, because you can definitely as a musician make a full-time career out of playing piano and organ for church services. You'll be busy every Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, whatever,
or
for the
like
rest of your life.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Please, if I could play piano like with my eyes shut and just like take requests, you'd never see me again. Yeah.
Oh, really? So that would be kind of cool for you?
Oh,
that sounds really
that'd be awesome. Yeah.
No.
But
I've only met a few people that can handle something like that.
Exactly.
It's a rare breed.
Special. Very cool.
And that's why they usually hated their job. They're like, I could not take a break.
And even at that level, you're still not going to make all that much money, but you're going to be able to make a living.
Yeah.
And then you get to that next level of like, okay, now you're traveling with like an actual well-known band, or like you're a couple of my buddies like
your name's on a poster or something like that.
Yeah. A couple of my buddies did like small jazz things on like cruise ships and stuff. Like cruise ships are huge for that stuff.
Right.
But
yeah, I'd imagine that.
Anyways,
you'd really appreciate live music on a cruise ship.
I feel like live entertainment. That's probably the saving grace of musicians, right? And that's probably why. Well, not the cruises, but like.
But live.
I think that's why COVID's probably hit. Like I'm sure the art community is super hard. Well, but like music.
Fine art,
like,
not too.
Yeah, like that you can still produce, but like music where it's live performance or something. Like, you'd have to really brush up on YouTube.
No, I've been to one of our.
I don't know.
Art Love Collective.
I was supposed
performers.
to quickly touch on this, but I can't remember what the hell we were even
starting. Just talking. But one of our performers in our Art Love Collective, I watched his performance on Instagram. He did a live show, and another person in the group, she did like.
He did an Instagram live.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
He did an Instagram live show that I watched.
Oh, okay.
And that's what you do. That's your answer, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how you do it. I saw, one of the other ones. She did a sale of her products. It was I think it was an hour where she just ran over things, and both of them were very into responding to every comment that people just kept feeding in.
I've heard a lot of people say that that's a good thing to do for people starting.
Yeah, I mean, professionals do that. I mean, if it's that kind of show. If you're based on social media and not on network TV or et cetera, then you probably, and if you're successful, you probably have a certain special engagement with your audience that you kept. And but
I think that's cool too.
I have been to those shows, or I've seen a couple of those live feeds, and they're cool for what they were. But man, like it just made me go. That wasn't. I mean. I didn't just go to a live show then.
No, you're not like with a group of people, getting some drinks and like in that close environment, like hearing
just a lot of things like that.
The music loud enough to kind of like hit you a little bit,
Right.
Well, one thing that I was gonna say that I think's good about that though is you get, everybody in the world right now is kind of doing the lockdown thing, right? So a lot of
people
musicians
are liking their screens right now.
Well, a lot of musicians are doing that same thing all around the world. So like, there's been a couple of shows. I'm kind of weird, but like. The same live music show from a person in Taiwan they were doing.
Right.
Like a friend of mine is Taiwanese and she like just shared it or whatever. So I was like, okay, I'll listen to this for a while. And it was a really amazing like singer and keyboard guy. And they were just like kind of jamming for an hour or whatever, and I could just listen to it in the background. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past you couldn't find that as easily because not as many people were doing it. I'm sure that the amount of people doing like live performances on YouTube like that.
Oh, so you just
rocketed up.
You were just like, what's live right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
It's like
so
9 a.m.
interesting.
for me. I'm doing work.
Yeah, but anywhere
But
in
like
the world.
yeah, it's like midnight. It's like midnight in Taiwan or whatever, and they're jamming, and it's
That's
kind of fun.
because because I've just never looked for things that are live.
Well, a friend of mine shared it, so then I saw
No,
it.
but it's just
Yeah,
interesting
take
because
a
I think
look.
a lot of people are that way. I mean, like I don't consider myself um, someone who understands the majority of people. Like I feel like that's something that I have a large block of getting why over 60% of people do this or 60% of people do this. Like, and so I don't understand um, the appeal of a lot of things. But it's funny because I wouldn't have, and a lot of people love social media, right? I mean, or they're addicted to it, or both, or something. And like just having like, first of all, always being a little, I don't know, um, hesitant of it. I don't understand like why you would want to seek out the certain things that you find there. But to like think, I don't know, it's just interesting to like think of it in a way where this is what people look for. I feel like that's how you approach things. You don't think about what people might look for. You find it out. I think that's how
You
you
talking about
approach
me?
business. Yeah, I say you do. And not necessarily, and it's like I feel like you leave your. I think this is a difference. You have a personal taste in like art and style and whatever, but like you leave that aside. And I feel like me, I'm always trying to find the business that fits me. And you're not so married to that. Like you're just like, whatever. Is that what's cool? Is that what you want to buy? Like, is this where the money is? Cool. And
Entrepreneurship, man.
I know, and
What's the
that's
next thing?
that whole direction. Just everything that I just said that I admire about you. It's just really unattractive for me. Like, and that's probably what
That's
keeps
it. I'm
me.
out of here.
Yeah, no. No, I mean it's more power to you for sure, and I think it pushes you to work on stuff. And to me, that's the only thing that matters. Does it push you to like keep doing something, keep building things?
Respect the hustle, regardless of what it is.
For sure, for sure. But for me, I don't know. There's like a certain I really uh, like a lot of things are so unbearable in society for me. I'm just admitting that. Like it's just hard to go to football games and like even like family, just like relative like family like extended family things like getting together with like a group of people that aren't like formed by my interests or something. Like I've become a better chameleon over the years. I can fit into crowds just fine, really.
I was gonna say because your
But I'm not
events and
into
stuff
it.
like that.
But I'm not into it. Well, my events.
Yeah,
the thing
you're
is-
like everywhere. You're a social butterfly at the
Yeah,
events. Like you're talking to everybody, but everybody's in there for art. You're talking about art or
Exactly.
music or whatever.
all that
yeah.
stuff, all the whole creative world, like everything that I feel we don't have enough of is what just keeps forming here. But
That's
yeah.
funny because like if me and you were at a party, I feel like me and you would talk.
Oh yeah.
Like
Well,
we
there's-
kind of gravitate towards each other a bit, and then like but
we're
when we're at
both
the
highly intellectual. I feel like I have to remind myself that because I don't consider myself an intellectual seeing the intellectuals that I saw growing up. Like, and maybe that's not the only sphere we share, but like, there's a certain high level.
I'm a
of
pretty
thinking.
dumb intellectual. If
No,
that's the case.
I think like you keep up. You know what I mean? Like you're not getting lost in
I'm
all
not
like the
stagnant.
mumbo
Yeah,
jumbo.
it's not like
Yeah.
I'm always learning something.
And there's so many people out there. I'm saying, and I'm saying relative. Like, well, we met at TS Tech. Like, we both worked at this company. We're both interpreters.
I wish I could remember when we first met. I don't know.
I kind of remember it well. But then
Really?
again, I'm the new guy. I don't know. Maybe you should
Were you-
remember me more.
Yes, you were.
But you were like the
I was
first.
translating then, wasn't I?
I met you. I observed. I think we either like tag team like interpreting session, or I just like. I remember earlier on, I just like observed or I just listened in on people's different interpreters. Your reputation preceded you, so maybe that's why I remember it more too. I knew about this white interpreter guy, younger white guy,
Yeah.
which just kind of makes me go like, oh shit, a little bit. Because like if I hear about a Japanese woman that's pretty good interpreter, I'm like, oh whatever. Like seriously.
Well, that is like the majority.
Or
I would say,
Japanese
what,
man, like
95?
I can't compete with the native with the Japanese aspect.
Mm.
But like I've always been, I've been much more insecure about my Japanese levels over my
For
English
sure.
levels
Yeah,
growing
me,
up.
yeah,
I'm just
me
better at
for sure.
English. But like yeah, as kind of newer interpreting job. But anyway, like one thing that I sort of noticed is that you would interpret and then you'd like switch off and then you'd like have a chat with me and it was like a legitimate chat, not just like hi, what school did you go? Like you made comments, you like kind of showed your personality and you switched right back in. Well, that's just who you are. It's not even the.
I could see
words
myself
remember.
doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just know you were like, oh, you're the new interpreter, and you kind of did a little like, well, this is this. Like you explained a few things. I think you probably contextualized it. So like, oh, I'm actually just helping these two executives. I think it was a technical evaluation with Miyota or is that his name?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that guy, maybe Kato or something.
God, that would be like the hardest one too.
And it was in the room that you go into before you get to the prototype room.
Yeah.
That office kind of. But anyway, yeah. But like sense of humor and stuff. But I feel like it's funny because as an artist, I have like a lovey-dovey side or whatever. But I feel like the people that I always get along with the most are the people that like. First of all, nerds usually work for me, like, because they're just intellectual usually. You can't really be a dumb nerd. If you're gonna obsess about a show or a game, you have to have the brain capacity to obsess about it. Or else you're just not gonna get it.
Yeah.
So, but like too nerdy is not that cool. But like, just like I'm just like imagining different places I've been to, like in Japan, anywhere, like different groups. Like if no one else is an artist, or no one else is like has Japanese ancestry or really is international anywhere, whatever. Like if there's all these things that take away who I am, I definitely like latch on to the person who seems smart. And funny is important because you can't be funny without being smart, and you can be smart without being funny.
That's probably true.
There is a high intellect.
Well, there's dummy
for
funny,
comedy.
like accidentally being funny, like watching an idiot get, racked or
Yeah,
something.
well, and also I'm like very forgiving about what is intelligent because I see athletes as intelligent if they're like physically capable because they've, you know what I mean, or like I'll see models as intelligent because they know how to flaunt what they're working with. It's a certain intelligence. It doesn't like equal IQ or test score or anything.
Aptitude more than.
Yeah.
Are you inept or?
Yeah.
Are you...
Maybe that's a way to put it. Aptitude, like an awareness of your surroundings, like, and again, the flip side, most people that I don't get, maybe, don't notice the things that like I can't help but fucking notice. You know what I mean? Like just
that
stupid,
bother you?
just stupid shit that happened in a room. Like I swear, like you and I would be in a room with 20 other people at TS Tech, and like something happened and someone said this, and then like after the meeting, it's like, hey, remember when that happened? Like 30 minutes in, and then someone else would be like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. There's a lot of things happened. And you'd be like, oh yeah, like right after this and this and that and this, and then we all started doing this, and just like you could pinpoint it and describe it. That's where I kind of like find like comfort in people that have that sort of like beyond basic like awareness, consciousness, maybe like, and it's funny because I will prioritize that over like morality too. Like I'm a good person, right? I'm attracted to good people or whatever. But if it's a party situation, I don't give a shit usually. Like if I'm just trying to be entertained for an hour, it's much more about what kind of conversation spurs, right? Because talking about dumb shit is so unbearable for me. Like, and
the game.
Yeah.
Or
with like this. Oh yeah.
The local sporting game.
Right. And I'm kind of just bored of trying to pretend like I do care about the Buckeye game.
Yeah.
Like I'm assuming they won the other day. Like
that's Facebook tells me so.
Oh, okay. So you don't.
Facebook
You've
tells
been a
me
football
so.
fan, right? Or you're more hockey. You're
well, I did watch hockey.
Okay.
I haven't watched it in like 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Well, and of course with COVID, it was all messed up for a while. I think hockey went back fairly early.
Oh, I thought
But-
you were a fan enough where you at least like paid attention every season and stuff.
I did, but I fell off the wagon like
Okay.
2 years ago.
Just
yeah, I watched it for about 2 years.
out
Really
of
heavily.
choice or
No,
you
I
just got
well,
bored of it, or?
it was just like busy, you know, like the
Okay.
kid came and
Yeah.
you know the business was busy. It was just
Yeah.
It was just, well, and the bigger thing is I mean, this goes into a completely different topic of what would be boring, but like how do you view the sport? You know, like if you are going to like you know, there's just
Well, there's the
packages,
view of-
sports packages, you know, like how do you actually get
that's
to
what you
view
mean.
that? Yeah, like
the streaming
streaming
options
online.
that we have.
Yeah, like
Hulu
you
has a
have
good one now or something?
Hmm?
Doesn't Hulu have good sports packages now or
No
something?
clue.
Oh, you no clue.
I mean, like when I did do it, I kind of got burnt because I like bought the NHL package like
Okay.
directly from them, so I should have been able to view everything I thought, but then you could view everything except for your local game. So like,
what?
yeah, because that's the way they set it up. Because the local news stations or sports stations want to, it's like blacked out, so
yeah.
then you have to watch.
Do you have basic cable, or do you? And you don't have.
And even with basic cable, you wouldn't be able to watch it half the time. It'd be on like the package up or whatever. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
horrible. Yeah, so
It's set up against you.
yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately, you had to like find some like shady stream of it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, well,
Or
if I'm gonna find a
just
shady,
pay $170 a month for DirecTV.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's-
exactly.
Like it's becoming the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah, I don't pay for cable. I haven't paid for cable in a long time.
Yeah, we haven't either. I actually had to fight for that at home.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. It was
The
a
wife
hard
wanted to
win.
continue. With
Well, there's
cable.
just a few shows, and also just watching the news. I mean, what we settled with was, switching to streaming, and we got like a nice digital antenna.
We did the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Yep. So you can still watch like the morning news and see
Yeah.
the traffic and stuff. I still do that. I'm an old man.
And at
anyway.
this point, as she still does watch local news, I like kind of going back to the live thing. I don't care at all how. I mean, like, I'm always curious when it was like written or produced or something, but I really don't care if it's new. Like, I never care if I'm like watching like the newest movie or the
Mhm.
newest
Yeah.
watching the newest episode or anything like that. Anyway, maybe I should talk a little bit more about like the things that we've been doing.
Yeah, what are you
on
up to?
Collective.
I think we kind of glossed over all of that for the first hour of this thing.
That's fine.
What's up in ALC world?
So there's a ministry called Columbus Relief. I was talking to you about earlier that they take a bus to inner cities. And actually, it's based off of like a relief ministry in Dallas, Texas. But the founder in Columbus, he started this 6 years ago. He actually traveled to Dallas to pick up the bus, and he like kind of volunteered there and then brought it back to Columbus. But they drive into the inner city, where they know there's going to be some people that are living out on the streets. And their whole concept, first of all, their phrase is meeting people where they are. So they mean that, and I mean they're Catholic, they're like a Catholic ministry, but they mean that in the sense where they're not asking you to like, convert or anything, and they also aren't asking you to give up the things, or it's like you're meeting people in a bad
They're normally like
state.
alcoholic or
Whatever.
drug problems.
Of course. Yeah. And so all the above.
I'm sure they give them resources if they'd like to, do something like that. But
they really do focus on, we're not here to judge. I mean, we have Bibles and AA books or whatever, but we really want you warm and fed and whatever. And they also like the idea of treating them like banquet guests. That's how the outreach director, Chad Kitchen, put it. And
giving them some respect.
for sure.
Yeah.
That dignity. I'm big into dignity.
Mhm.
Just people being dignified. But anyway, so our Love Collective is working on a mural there, and we're gonna have our 5th Faces of Love event. So the Faces of Love is Art Love Collective's art show fundraisers. So Chad Kitchen, he wants us to, the unveiling of the mural is January 30th, which is a Saturday, and I think it's 4 to 8 p.m. Because their service ends at 3 on Saturdays. So from 4, we're gonna Our Love Collective. We're gonna have our artists set up work there, and we're gonna try to get all our musicians, poets, whatever it is. The Columbus Kitchen's really cool with whatever we want. He said yes to everything, and that's a good sign these days.
Yeah.
He trusts us. He's been to our shop. He knows like how many fundraisers we've had. So like to him, he's like, just do what you're doing, and that's a great green light, right?
Yeah.
So it'll coincide with the unveiling of the mural that will get done by then, and we'll have our own art.
So ALC is doing the mural.
Yes, yeah, we've already started it.
Oh, already started it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is
I
that
was
like
working on it
is that
yesterday.
like down there? It's on the wall, right?
It's on, yeah. So the Columbus Relief is on 800 Phoebus Avenue, a little south of Franklin Park Conservatory, and the main entrance. It's like in the room. If you're standing right at the main entrance, that's your view.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in the main lobby area. It's
So
a
the first
really
thing when
nice
somebody
room.
walks in,
It's the first thing you see.
you're gonna see your mural.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I designed the mural, and there's.
You get to sign it like in the corner, Art Love
so
Collective.
Oh, I actually wrote it
166
really
Granville.
large. Mural by Art Love Collective.
Oh, you wrote it really
Oh,
large.
for sure. It wasn't in the design, and there's kind of this empty space, and I'm like, oh, I'm totally putting that. I want, there's 6 of us working on painting the mural, and I want everyone to feel really proud.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Put their own signature on it.
That's cool that they let you do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's
They
advertising.
compensated our material, and every Faces of Love we've done, we've given 30% to charities, and so this one we're gonna do our total 30% straight to Columbus Relief. Like,
because normally you split it up between like 3 different.
We usually
charities.
have 3 charities, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this will all go straight to them.
Yes.
That's really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like really short timing too. Like that's gonna be upon us in no time.
Yeah, we got a few weeks.
Yeah, because it's
The 3rd today, right? So
yeah, 3rd. So 1, 2,
4
3,
weeks.
4. Yep, 4
Yeah.
weekends.
That's plenty of time.
So
We've had much shorter notice for a lot of events.
Yeah.
Or less planning.
Well, I guess a lot of people, even when they're coming here for the events in Gahanna, if you're like close to downtown Columbus, I mean, a lot of people aren't local in Gahanna that are in the club, anyways, right? So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Only
not
a
really
few of
like
us
that
really
different.
want fully Gahanna. Yeah.
The biggest thing will just be like moving some of the gear and whatnot, like
Yeah.
booths or whatever, however you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
And, hanging up things.
So I mean, yeah, the hanging up things. Like I have.
Sounds like they got a big hall, but.
It's like one big room with
Mhm.
a tall ceiling. It's a square room actually, but.
So who would be coming in though to like actually look at the art and stuff? Is it so you're holding an event there?
Yeah.
It's
So-
during the day, right?
Yeah. So I mean, like everyone that we invite as Art Love Collective, everyone that Columbus Relief through their social media
Oh,
invites.
okay, yeah.
So it's really mostly going to be like the volunteer for the event. It's mostly going to be like various volunteers and people in the ministry. But on a regular basis after that, that actually is going to be the food hall.
Yeah.
That's where they'll have like the soup and food, the tray, serving trays and stuff.
Yeah.
So that room is actually going to be where a lot of those, like pretty much homeless people are going to be sitting and eating and being treated to the banquet meal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's great. It's like, kind of going back to like the value of our high class art. Because yeah, it's true. Like really good art is more accessible by money and stuff, class and stuff. So I really like the idea, and so does Chad. We all liked it. And Kevin Ramsey, he's actually the founder of Columbus Kitchen. Not Chad, but Kevin is. But we all like the idea that they get
That's not this Kevin, right?
no, that's a different guy. Yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
Kevins.
yeah, a lot of Kevins. But that's we're providing great art. I mean, like that's not even me being boastful. I'm proud. Like of our team. Like we're gonna make it great. Um, and the design looks good, and I trust these artists. And
Are
we're
you able
going
to
at it.
speak on what the theme is, or is it hush hush until the other
No,
day?
it's
Like, what's
it's
the
really
theme?
just the theme is actually what I did was took a lot of photos of Columbus Relief like members doing their thing, like
Oh, you went
interacting.
there when they were actually like
Oh no,
surfing
I
and
just
stuff.
I just found photos on Google,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
on their website and stuff like that. Just like took various photos that they had up on their website, the ones that look really special and in the moment. And what's interesting is that the founder Kevin, once he saw the design, I probably
Because you gave him like a rough draft or something.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, I did like a full scaled layout with color and stuff. But when he saw that design, he actually recognized, and I used like maybe like 8 or 9 different photo references. He knew all the situations.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because he was there from the start, and he's been up there apparently every little event that they've done. He knew every situation, every person on there. And
Well, that really speaks to him too, then.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was weird that he wasn't in any of the images. Maybe he was taking all the pictures.
Maybe. These are all my pictures.
Yeah. So it was actually very meaningful to him, or it is very meaningful to him. And that just kind of, I told our team that, and so we all are doing that knowing that we're not getting paid. We got compensated for the painting materials, but we're all volunteering our time.
Yep.
We're actually going to do another mural in their locker room. We have actually pretty much a whole room.
Oh, you're gonna do another
walls
mural.
of a room in the locker room area, so we can kind of go more wild, do like weirder things like aliens or dragons or something, and also like eventually on their outside wall.
That'd be really cool.
Yes. And that's where.
And it gives you kind of like some training too, because you haven't done a lot of big murals before, have
I
you?
have.
Oh, you
actually.
have. Oh,
I've
okay, never
done
mind.
About 10.
Oh, okay. Apologies. It's
That's fine.
experience.
A lot of people aren't. And
I
in
just
fact,
figured it'd be like a completely different thing to
I
paint
actually
that
asked
scale.
a few of the artists. I actually don't think, I'm just gonna take a guess that none of the other 5 people in like my painting team have done a mural before. So even Eric, who actually paints interior houses as a living and is an artist that does a lot of work on canvases, has actually never done a picture on the wall, which is mural. But actually, yeah, my first mural, I was 16, 17, I was in high school, and it was my friend or my aunt's friend in their nursery. I did 2 murals at Baker West, which is a dorm at OSU.
Oh, yeah.
And then just throughout the years, a few others here or there, my nursery at home, like our kids' room.
Did you stay at the dorms at OSU?
Yeah, Baker West dorm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the arts dorm.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still there. It might. One of them, I had 2 of them. They could well still be there. I have no idea.
Oh, if the murals are still there, yeah, I don't know. I mean, now I don't know any. It's been it's so sad to think that when we were there, it was like 10 years ago. Like it's so much has changed there.
Right.
Like I drove down High Street just a year ago, and I was like, none of this looks familiar. In terms of like
those shops change.
The shops are all different.
Cards, like oh my god.
But I feel like when
Target's there, right? That blows my mind.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
That doesn't even make sense to me.
Yeah, but even the campus itself, like so much construction.
So much.
Yeah, I mean, in 10 years, the amount
they
of
really
change.
utilize their construction budget.
Yeah, they really utilize our construction budget.
Yeah, they really utilize our tuition.
Oh, I'm still paying, so
Yeah,
use it.
Right. Anyway, so Columbus Relief, that's a big thing. Another real big thing is, so Our Love Collective is associating with a nonprofit organization called the Grace Project in Kenya. Right? Maybe there's no the. I think it's Grace Project in Kenya. But Grace stands for, what is it? African Children's wait, so
Giant.
It's something African Children's Education, giving. Oh my god. giving. This is really bothering me now. Grace Project, Kenya. Oh, sorry. Global response to African children's education. Do you see that? There's different Grace projects. Yep,
There is a the.
That's the right one. Well, it's going to change because there's actually a lot of the Grace projects.
Oh, really?
But yeah, that's the website that is the official website that they're using. Anyway, so there's a nonprofit organization called Grace, Global Response to African Children's Education, and it's an academy in a village in Kenya called Kisii, and they have 150 students. I think it's like 3rd through 8th grade, and a lot of these kids like wouldn't get a meal during the day, or wouldn't get like educated, if not for the school. You know, they're just that impoverished. So this school does that, and it was founded by a Kenyan guy that went to school, that came to the U.S., became a certified financial advisor, did really well for himself, and then immediately helped local schools in Jersey, where I think that's where he got his degree, but that's at least where he worked, after his degree, and then he eventually, brought back to his home in Kenya, started that school, and acts as a financial advisor. But I think recently they've been growing more and they've been getting more funding, but they actually have quite a bit of money, but they don't know how to like make the good website or get proper social media and stuff.
Marketing and whatnot.
I mean, you have to imagine like
when you're marketing to the world, right?
Yeah, it's like we all heard, poor helpless kids in Africa like so many millions of times. Like how does, like, you have to imagine like how hard that'd be. Like, aside from me being an artist, like trying to market myself, like that's really hard. But,
Yeah.
like, some guy is trying to like help out like tons of people in Kenya. Like, not obviously he's going to try to expand it to like try to feed and help as many people as he can. So anyway, I'm friends with, she's an MBA that she's Kenyan herself, so this is her hometown, and so obviously it means a lot to her. But they really need direction with art stuff, like website development, social media. So I've kind of become like an art director for them. And my first project, I just finished designing it. We're still kind of like waiting for approval, but I did a 12-month calendar using like 20 drawings that the local village kids drew, that they scanned over there and sent to me, which, cool technology.
Yeah.
And then what I did was I just kind of like made them pretty,
just like, digitally enhance them, basically.
Digitally enhance them. I preserve.
When you scan something, it doesn't look all that great sometimes.
It's not just the scan; it's the presentation. It's like I preserved their drawing part, but like did more outlines, so make things pop. All the text I put in a word bubble, just created like a comic book word bubble for all their, and because a lot of them wrote poems with their drawings of their bull or their tree or their friends, and so just stuff that like all artists do when we present. It's like there's the drawing, and then there's the frame around the drawing, and then there's the background, like things that flower things up, and then usually a figure or something. But usually if you take just the figure and not all the other stuff, it's not as cool. It can really just really enhance things just from adding a few things. But anyway, I did that, collages for all 12 months. Combination of the kids' drawings and then a bunch of pencil drawings I did of the kids, like through photos. So it's like that kind of juxtaposition. Plus, just like I pulled colors from all their drawings and then made them, like I would pick like 3 or 4 good colors from drawings and then block out a background using just those colors.
Yeah.
Just did stuff that where I want the kids to look at those drawings, or look at the calendar and kind of go like, oh shit, did I do that?
Yeah, you're just enhancing what they already
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
But in the end, they're gonna be like, I know I did that, but it didn't look that cool. And to me, it's not about making it. It's obviously about making it look cool, so people are attracted to it, so they want to buy it, so it promotes it and everything. But
collage is tricky too, just like making sure
I like,
fit
yeah,
up right.
it's
Look
one of
good
those
together.
things that artists kind of get a real knack for, just composition, but for the average person, it's not.
I remember in my high school art class, we had to do a collage once of just, like magazine clippings and
Right.
stuff like that.
And that was tough?
Hated it.
Oh, okay, yeah. You just didn't enjoy it.
I did not enjoy that
Yeah.
art project at all. But that's just me, like, trimming stuff out of magazines and newspapers
maybe
and arranging. Like, I've seen some really impressive stuff.
Right.
I know that it can be impressive, but for me,
so you
it's just
recognize that it's its own talent, even if it's just purely like image copy paste, like
I feel
literally
cutting
paste.
I've been impressed by such primitive art forms, but it's all about the time and talent put into it, right?
Of course, right.
Obviously, like ball pens or whatever, like
and like an interest, like you have to. There's a certain care to it, and that's kind of where I was getting at. Is it's not just like when I want this kid, like some fourth grade kid who drew a picture of a bowl, and someone in America put it in the calendar along with all her friends' stuff. I want them to think it looks cool, but what I really want is a chance for someone to care about it, and I feel like that's all artists want is for people. It's like it's not the money because we usually have given up on like being rich, honestly, right? Like a lot of us artists, unless we're like
you fall into it if you do, like all of a sudden you're famous and rich.
Yeah, it's not money. I mean, we ask that we continue doing it, but beyond that, like, can I just get enough to do it, and can I have maybe some of my own creativity, but really just like someone to appreciate it.
Can I have 30 seconds of your time?
Yeah.
Just to look at this and feel good about it.
Yeah. And that's why musicians, it's just like it's so live. It's like a live version of that, where it's like I'm literally playing. Could you please look at me? Like you're right there. Like,
that's one leg up they have over visual artists, where it's like, well, we got you in a live event now. You're gonna be appreciating us for 2 hours, whether you like it or not. I mean, I guess you can walk out.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see musicians with smaller. We haven't had huge crowds at our parties or events, but it's interesting to see how the musicians appreciate 6 to 7 people. They're like, hey, I'm doing it for you guys, and they're putting their heart and soul into it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want like the kids in the village to see like someone cared enough about their artwork to present it, and to like believe it is artwork and treat it that way. And
you created something of worth that people enjoy.
Spark some ideas. And in fact, I mean, just to go off that more, the sort of like my partner in this, she's already, she and the founder Joseph have talked about, because we want to do the art classes online here at Art Love Collective. We've had not one person sign up yet, which is fine. I'm not complaining, but
you've had people sign up for information.
Yeah,
Just haven't actually come.
Yeah, I've had some communication with people. No one's actually signed up for a class yet. But
we're gonna do it ourselves.
We're gonna do it, and these kids, we're actually already setting up in February. I want to say it was like February 5th is our tentative date or something like that. It was some early date in February where we're already planning to set up an art class that I would do for the kids.
And most all of them are taking some English classes, right?
They all do. I don't know if they, because I read their poems.
They wrote them in English?
Yeah, it was all in English, all in alphabetical letters. It was all so good, it didn't seem much different than 3rd to 8th graders here. So I kind of wonder if in that town it's predominantly English.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say they speak Swahili in Kenya. But I don't know. I have no idea, of course. I don't know if it's like English / Swahili or more one.
Well, that's really cool though that you're able to do that.
Yeah.
In the calendars, they've already done these before. They're just
Nope.
updating it.
Nope.
No, this is a new one for them.
A calendar was an idea to get their name out there. Really, so this Joseph guy, the Kenyan founder, he's been successful in like funding and actually like doing like the school, right? Like he found, even though he went back to America, like he found enough people in Kenya to keep the school together. Like the teachers, they have nice uniforms, they get a lunch, all that kind of stuff. They're good at like doing the thing, but they want to get more word out there and build more and help the kids over there like develop and who knows, even as I'm talking about it, I'm kind of like building upon it because that's how young it is, kind of like the concept of it, at least in this nonprofit and.
Well, that's always exciting, though. From a small business perspective, though, being able to grow with something.
Right.
Sounds like they're kind of like in that infancy stage, but obviously, like growing and doing well. If it's not going to work, you're going to find out quickly it's not going to work. I would think, but if they're still there after doing it for X number of years or whatever, it seems like something that you can like build together with.
Exactly, and there's 3 high schools in New Jersey. That's like the they're not like the sister schools, but they're like the sponsor schools or something like that. But those 3 schools, Joseph himself has somehow helped out, with the CFA skills. That goes a long way, of course, if you're a high level like financial advisor where you can break down like small business and stuff. So anyway, so our Love Collective is closely partnering up with them. And
so you're really busy for January. You're doing the mural and the event at the end of the month.
Right.
And February you go into maybe more of the calendar stuff and the Kenyan activity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then by the time you get out of February and you get your bearings, then you're gonna go into spring and probably have more local events and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think so. As a group, we're staying strong. Like you show up to, you probably show up more than anyone other than my mom to the weekly things because she shows up every week, which is great.
Hey, your mommy loves you. It's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. But you know that, 4 months maybe every week, something like that, right? We started in July.
Yeah.
It's been
a while. I guess because the first event was like in summer, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was in the summer.
Was it in the summer?
It was.
No, because we done 3 and we did one in November. So November, October, September.
Yeah, the one you went to was September. We did one late July, and then we did one September.
Oh yeah, because and then your driveway ones, like when COVID first hit.
Right. You came to the first one here.
Yeah.
So, but we started the Google Meets. Oh, there were Zooms. That doesn't really matter. I think 7:25. Like I think it was like, let's do a weekly thing because we had the event on a Saturday, and I think it was Wednesdays from the start. I was just like, let's just do a Google Meet or a Zoom this coming Wednesday. So if it's end of July, then we've hit to over 5 months then.
Yeah.
Because we're in January.
Yeah.
Anyway, every week for over 5 months, we've been meeting as Our Love Collective. There's 13 participants now, or invited people. Usually like 5 to 6 of us show up at once, and it's usually different
mix of people. Yeah.
It's like it's cool how kind of inconsistent, but everyone is still linked. And I'm really proud of this kind of statement is there's like almost no one that joined and left completely. There's some people that showed up to the show, never really came again, but everyone that's joined either keep showing up to the meetings, keep texting me, or have their products here. And to me, you're still here.
Yeah.
You haven't like
severed all ties.
There's just been no ties. I mean, and I think it's because of my flexibility with the amount of participation I kind of want.
Yeah.
Starting with like, if you have your work here, literally, if you don't sell, nothing happens, and I just give you your stuff back. Like,
which you're not going to get that anywhere else. You're going to have like a listing fee or whatever. Even if it's 30 cents a posting or whatever, it adds up.
I mean,
And
Yeah.
then once you sell, any other service, you know, is going to be taking a big chunk of it, at least 30%.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, like we have a strong team. We meet every week, and you know, we're growing with ideas. Like the mural, there's a few of us that came to that. A few of us that came for like trash pickup stuff. We've done. Did we talk about the trash pickups last time? I don't know.
I think we said that we were going to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
The last time we had the podcast, we had done one trash pickup, like in October maybe. Yeah, it was 10/24. Was our first trash pickup, which we did at Shoal Park. It's it has an old hockey rink. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's kind of cool. Just an outdoor hockey rink that they freeze up sometimes, I guess. With a skate park, like a skateboard park, and soccer fields and stuff. Anyway, we picked up the trash there 10/24, and then in December 12/12, because yeah, we kind of like that date, and that was a Saturday. We cleaned up the perimeter of Horizon Science Academy Elementary School. It's next to the Goodwill on Morse.
Which somebody from the group works at that school.
Yeah, there's a teacher. There's an art teacher that teaches at that school.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like the suggestion. Like I don't care where we clean up. I just like the idea that we can just put it down, or we just write that down. Another one thing I do want to work on is more like I keep everything, but I haven't like distributed things. Presentation, kind of going back to that. Like we have photos from both of the cleanups. I've talked to you about this, but I've now taken pictures of everything here. You know, give or take a few.
The products.
Yeah, of all the products, and I have Excel matrix that has their prices and dimensions and stuff. So we want to be like fully shoppable online. You know,
That's
and I'm
the
sure,
goal.
yeah, it's not that hard of a goal. It just takes some time, and I've been procrastinating it. But that, along with like trash pickups and all the documentation, you know, that's speaking of, you know, as you're talking about getting to February, because you jump ahead in your mental calendar so much. Yeah, it makes me think like January. If I were to set like a month goal, it would be to really focus in on getting all the document, and we have a lot of video performances that we haven't done anything with, but getting those on the website, making them accessible so people can like view our story.
Yeah.
We're just telling stories through our photos and videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can throw that stuff up on Facebook too. Get it out everywhere, or at least
Facebook's gonna stay around, or just
I think Facebook's here to stay, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
I don't think any social, like, I guess social media can die for sure. I mean, there was the MySpaces and Tumblrs and stuff like that, but I just can't imagine.
I mean, some will, of course, inevitably.
I guess back in the day, if you had asked me when, like, I was on MySpace, like, in my freshman year of college, Facebook still existed then, but I didn't, you know, I had just started to hear about it. You know, it's still all about MySpace.
It's funny because
if you would have asked me at that point, do you think that MySpace will ever just be completely obsolete? Maybe I would have said no. You know, I don't know, because it was so popular then. Everybody had a MySpace page.
Right.
But now, well, it's so easy. One, easy to create a Facebook page, and two, impossible almost to completely like wipe a Facebook page. I feel like it'll artificially seem more active for a long time before it would even die, if that makes sense. But
yeah.
I think it'll be around for a while, unless something serious changes.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
If they start treating, like, I think the only thing that'll really change is if they start treating social media companies differently. Like if they do that whole like Section 230 thing, like
where they're
viewing them versus as a publisher versus like an open forum, like that'll be
where they actually not kind of censor, and also they're like liable for whether it's
exactly
reliable news and stuff like that.
Yeah. Since I guess the argument is like since they're already known and admitted to censor certain things, like okay, so you're like
with a what's it called? a lean or a bias kind of.
Well, yeah, I mean, even if there isn't a bias, you're still saying like, oh, we don't talk about that here.
Yeah.
So you're deciding what content is going on the site. Then it's not like an open forum at that point.
Right.
But it's debatable, obviously. So like, what you're allowed to do and whatnot. But if they did ever like, get treated as publishers versus an open forum, then I could see it splitting up more or something like that. But that's a whole different rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's funny
I
because
find it funny you made that comment.
it's funny because
Are you abandoning the Facebook? Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. Well, especially because I really
You've always been more of an Instagram guy, but
yeah. Oh, once I joined Instagram, I was gonna say that I really enjoyed Facebook for years and years. Even when people, no, I mean, I've had my rough relations and we've broken up a few times and gotten back together, but like there was a long stretch where Facebook and I were really cool.
I thought you were talking about a woman for a second. Yeah, I get it now.
As a metaphor, but it's become, I don't know if it's become something. Well, it's definitely become something different. But also, I don't know. I feel like everything that I gained before, it's not worth it anymore. Actually, I was just talking about this with my wife earlier. Like a group text, like a group message, is like a small dose of Facebook posts, right? If you have like 5 or 6 people on a wall in your group
I like
text,
that way better.
it's so much better.
Oh yeah, you're
And
actually
like,
having a conversation.
and the jokes are better, the memes are better, they're more catered to you.
Yeah.
And then some people are more loud and some people are just observing, or some people just like give thumbs up a lot. And
that's funny.
it's funny because it was actually a family group text thing, and my brother had a picture of his haircut and made a duck face, blah blah blah. It's just a stupid funny thing. And I remember very specifically this morning just seeing that group text. Cause I post on Facebook and Instagram, but I just never look at the walls. I only accidentally see sometimes. If I accidentally see something, sometimes I pretty much just like it. If it's someone that I like, it's just like cool, like your kid or your salad, whatever. But I don't
Your salad.
I don't spend time looking at social media. I really don't. I haven't done that maybe in about a year. I kind of was wish-washy doing that for a while, but like I just stopped. But I keep posting because I have things to post. I keep making art. I keep, I show my picture or my kids too, of course.
For me, I would say Facebook's become much less about seeing what my friends are posting about, and much more about joining specialized groups. So like, I'm a member of, I don't know, 3 or 4, 3D skating groups, and 3 or 4 3D printing groups, and 3 and 4, just DIY, like whatever interest you have, I sign up for it, like all the 3D modeling and stuff like that. There's tons of groups on for that, just to like see what people are doing for inspiration, etc. There's entrepreneurship groups, small business groups.
I always notice,
and I look at like advertisements and stuff like that.
That makes sense with the kind of like comments and posts you put. I've noticed this is something that I definitely appreciate about you is you sort of, even in your casual way, you're pretty business. Like you don't really shy away from your business identity. Even like when you were at TS Tech and not even probably doing a side hustle at all. Like I think you had that like mentality where, and it's not even a professionalism, it's just like brass tacks kind of business. It's not like, hey, I'm trying to like have a nice suit. It's none of that. It's not all, it's like you're cool with that stuff, but like but so I think your posts too, they really focus in on like, this is my achievement, like, or this is what I'm studying, like this is like it's more like I'd imagine you're more like a LinkedIn profile, like because
it's funny that you say that because I've enjoyed
with your
LinkedIn a
career.
lot more lately.
I feel like I've been recommended it recently, and
I found
I used to have it and I didn't know what to do with it, but that was like 6 years ago. It's like didn't even make sense to me.
I never used it when I was employed because what's the point? You know, like unless you're searching for something else, you know, or you know, it's a great tool if you're searching for something else, or
Yeah.
if you want recruiters to find you or something
Or if you
like
just
that.
want to go and like go to more a deep dive and seminars into your own field, like
Yeah,
as
for
your
business
specific
purposes,
employee
yeah.
field, you know.
You'll find some people recommending things like
But
that.
I've never, obviously, because it was 5 or 6 years ago, I've never been on LinkedIn as an artist career-wise or as an entrepreneur,
Well,
business owner.
my favorite part about it is that, like, if you do, here's my plug, Protocept LLC, you know, there's a page on LinkedIn that's the company page. So it's kind of like, you know, poor man's website, even though I have my own website too. But the cool thing about the company page, and maybe I'll admit that I'm kind of obsessed low-key about the number of followers that I have for the business. And I've never ever worried about that before, like for my own private stuff.
See, I like that about you because it shows you're not plugged in to like the perceived social currency almost. Or like you're
Well, I haven't privately, but for the,
that's
like,
what I mean.
For, yeah,
like
for the
private social currency.
oh
Like
yeah, yeah,
popularity,
for that,
whatever it is. I mean like and you've always been a likable person, so I'm sure like you
I'm
don't
sure
have
there's
a
people that hate me
problem
too. You know,
finding
that's the thing.
But the thing is you don't have a problem finding certain people to hang out with, certain people to talk to, and blah blah blah. You have enough of those people in your life where you don't and I admit I have obsessed about like, oh my God, does so and so like me, and so this, and
Never
like,
looks,
oh, did
never
she?
likes my wall. Who's liking my wall?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
oh
I've never
God,
done that.
like even as you're saying that,
I've
it's
never
giving
done
me
that.
like PTSD.
I've never
Yeah,
once
for
like
sure.
I don't feel like I've ever looked like if I post something and it like and it's always like I get more obsessive about it as a business. So
That's
I'll just say
that's cool.
but if I
because
post
that's a lot
something as a
cooler.
business, then I will. I'll
Yeah.
take a look. I'll be like, whoa, this
Right.
one got like 230 impressions. Like
Right.
230 people looked at this for
But
like
it's very
5
goal
seconds or
oriented.
whatever.
I mean, it's not like
Yeah, if I don't see my
I mean, there's
follower
a part
count
of your
going up,
like identity, like, oh shit, like I feel like weak and dumb, like, or you know, you might feel that way sometimes, but really it's more like, oh, failed, I'm just missed the mark again. Like, it's more of a frustration because you're so goal oriented to succeed with this business.
yeah.
So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. I never. It's kind of like that endorphin rush. So I did have one social media success over the past couple weeks. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I had posted some scanning results, and I had just on a whim I tagged the company that makes my scanner with it because they just released some new features for their software. So I had posted something that I did with the new software and said here's the results, and I linked to like my 3D my Sketchfab account where you can view it in 3D. And but since I tagged that company in that post, that company liked my post, which I thought was badass. It'd be like if you were posting like you drew a picture of Donald Duck and Disney liked it.
Yeah,
know?
I know what you're saying.
That's pretty
it's
cool.
Such a big entity that shouldn't care about you. Shouldn't be paying attention to you. You're a pawn. Or not even. Yeah. Peon. I think that's what I'm thinking. Like a kind of like a lowly village villager or something like that. Like you're just such a wimpy thing in this, and even though they're got a lot of power and people and history, that means a lot. That's cool. You want that.
Well, and that's the really cool part about LinkedIn is because if you get somebody like that to like one, and they actually liked 2 of my posts.
Yeah.
So, but LinkedIn's, I don't think Facebook does this, at least not to the same scale.
Mm-hmm.
If so, say I like you on LinkedIn, and you like something on LinkedIn, like say you like, Chicago Bulls, then I will see Michael Lay liked this post from the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
Normally you wouldn't see that, right? I don't see what you're doing on Facebook unless you post it. So what I'm saying is like anybody that follows.
I don't know. I thought
anybody that follows our tech scanners had a chance of seeing on their feed my businesses what Prototype was doing with the scanners, which I think is cool.
So Facebook maybe focuses more on, or it's more of the person followed noticing their likes versus everyone else seeing A liking B.
Yeah, you don't see
Facebook,
it
it's
as
like
much of
if A likes B, then B notices, and that's Facebook. And then with
Yes.
LinkedIn, it's like A and B, A likes B, everyone knows, and you see that association.
Yes,
you see that that's where they're linking, and
Well, and it's cool too if you're like targeting somebody for business or whatever, and you're like, what are they looking at, or whatever, You can even pay for like, this is, I think this is kind of, it's weird, where you draw the line on shadiness, but like, you can actually pay for like a premium account on LinkedIn to where you can get even more insights on, like, you can see exactly who's looking at your page.
Yeah.
Where without that account, you only see like how many people are looking at your page.
But
if you're trying to do marketing and reach out to people, if somebody
social
already
media stalking,
if somebody
so much
already
of a
looked
thing.
at your page,
The only people that aren't being seen are the ones that are like spending a lot of time and money protecting themselves from not being seen. Other than that, we're all just being seen. If you're not doing anything to like somehow dark screening your stuff, so to me that doesn't really mean anything. But yeah.
But I mean, from a small business perspective,
but you pay
and
more
from my
money for
perspective,
LinkedIn to get a little more intel.
you could, you could, but like I don't. You know
Yeah.
what? I'm just saying that I think that it's a good
because that's
tool.
not your goal.
Yeah, I just think it's a good tool. Like I'd be like,
for
okay, like
analytics or something.
I want to push out a piece, at least a piece of content a day, right? Just to say like, hey, I'm here, I'm doing things, and then it'll have some visibility. Maybe I'll get 1 or 2 new followers that week, from somebody liking something that I did.
Right.
And just trying to grow that way.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing how few or many followers a company of a certain size will have.
Right.
It's really kind of telling, like in terms of like, are they focused on the social media or are they not focused on social media? Because you can have really big companies with very few followers, or you can have really small companies with a lot of followers. It's kind of strange, yeah.
Well, I don't know about the big company ones, but I have a lot of, I definitely know a lot of people that aren't, I don't know, big people in life, and yet they're very highly followed.
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot.
Huh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like just a private person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you had seen them, you don't think they have a following. They just don't seem like they have a following. But they do, at least social media. I don't know. It's one of those things.
Love hate.
Well, I mean, it's whatever. To me, I'm past like the jealousy, man. Basically, if I stay off social media, I don't think about it. It's not a problem. I'm like an alcoholic in that way, where I'm like, I just can't be around the alcohol.
Yeah.
Like, well, enough I can be the bartender, but I can't sit on the other side. Maybe that's it. Because I'm always serving.
Yeah, I think it's maybe healthy to not worry about it privately, but I think that it's.
But I do.
I think that
if
any.
I do engage in it, I can't help it.
You can't do just the business. Like you couldn't just do like ALC.
Not easily.
Really.
Not easily at all.
Yeah.
And in fact,
that's rough.
Someone else does the Facebook, and someone else other than that does the Instagram for our.
Oh really? I didn't realize that somebody.
If you do the website, not that I'm making you do it, and we could talk about maybe I want to be more involved in like building it or whatever. But dude, it is not. It like gives me anxiety, not because it's hard. I don't know what it is. It's like this. It's because it's not. I don't know. Maybe because I'm used to such a like fluid flow in my process. That's why I use Art Studio and I have Procreate and then I like delete it because I'm like I never use it because I'm like I'm just like.
Oh, you didn't use Procreate?
I've tried it and I've been recommended by multiple other like professional like art people, like people that use Procreate. But like I open it and I'm just like I don't know this button. How do you?
Yeah.
Like it's.
Art Studio is still fairly.
Like,
common,
to me,
though,
there's
right?
nothing wrong with it at all.
Yeah.
Like at all. It saves a ton. The speed's great. Good sensitivity. I can make it full screen. Like there's so many things, but there's just I've always had this thing, like the real like don't fix it if it ain't broke philosophy. It's like me to a T, and that's kind of like where going back to where I was saying like people see me as multifaceted because I am because I know a lot of different things, but like when I go slightly outside my wheelhouse, I'm like an idiot. Like sports and weather. What's happening in Israel. I mean, you probably noticed when you get a little too techie with me, I'm just kind of like, I just don't get it anymore.
I've always been a little bit surprised, I'll admit, sometimes when it's not a bad surprise, I just, because my, I'm
Magic,
wired.
for example.
Oh,
Magic the
yeah.
Gathering.
you're like the fourth person that's tried to legitimately sit down and teach me, and like I still like, like Kathleen sat in on one of those times, and she,
Picked it up.
admittedly, she plays poker and blackjack well, and like rummy and stuff. She plays some card games really well, but she's like the least thing from a nerd. She just watches Friends and has, but like she's like, oh, I get it, and then you tap at this, and like, she kind of just picked it up, and it's like there's a certain inability to pick up things.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have.
I always find it surprising because I just feel like it's the difference in how I'm wired versus you. But I kind of imagine like if we break, I guess it wouldn't work if all of a sudden I was forced to reside in your body and had your artistic abilities and stuff like that. I feel like I would be looking for the next level up of technology, like would be my first thing. Like I'm always, and I'm not suggesting you do it. I'm not suggesting you do it.
No,
I'm just saying
that's how
like
you would push it.
I'm just saying that like I feel like
because you'd be satisfied with your level. That's the thing that I never feel satisfied at. I feel like you're like, oh, I can draw, so I'll just like do something with my drawing. For me, I'm like, I still can't
that's exactly what I'm
draw
thinking.
right. You know what I mean? Like,
well, then you'll never draw
still,
right at this point, right?
And it's not. And I don't really feel that way completely, but maybe my exploration hasn't ended, and like I'm a lot more focused in on reducing things, like stopping, watching social media posts, just like consumption of stuff and whatever. Like I'm more about giving up things because I'm like, how do I do these few things? I like skateboarding. I like drawing and painting. I like going to boxing class and reading books. Um, Now, TV is not one of my favorite things to do, and I've been actively trying not to have it be. And podcasts I'm falling a lot more in love with because it's conducive with the way, like the things I'm trying to go.
Can do background music well.
For sure, and you need it too. You need content. Like everyone needs to feed something in along with produce something or whatever. But yeah, that's how you would. Yeah, but yeah.
I don't know what the next thing would be. I feel like I would probably be
the
like.
The next thing is like.
I feel like I would probably be doing like an online. Just me. Right. I feel like I would be doing like an online comic or something. But that's always been like one of my dreams where I'd be like, if I could draw really well and I could like turn out content, I'd do like a daily comic or something.
It's funny that you say that
because I love like Dilbert and stuff like that, like those little like 3-panel comics.
As of now, so I just finished designing a calendar. I literally did that in like 3 days. I churned it out. It looks great. I churned out that design for the mural in like 3 days too. Those were big projects. And I'm also doing this, like highly detailed caricature pencil drawing as a commission. But those all pale in comparison to me working on Kingdom Animalia or Hiromi and the Demonic Plague, my graphic novels. Like you say, like I would make a webcomic, and yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, I'd make a webcomic too. I'd make stuff. It's so fucking hard to do.
I know, it's easy to say.
The mural stuff, like all the things I've listed, like calendar, mural, and anything animation would be incredibly difficult too.
Yeah.
It's just so time consuming, so much planning, and it looks so bad if it's not 99% good. Like that's the thing about all those things.
Because at least to you.
Well, I mean,
at least to you.
That's what I mean for people that read it. For me, but I'm imagining someone, like I'm literally imagining someone picking it up and going, is this worth my time at all? With a comic in their hand. And usually it's not even worth opening up here. And it's just kind of, I have to like laugh about it. But like, I want to do that, and I do that. Like the comic thing is my real big thing, and eventually, movies and stuff. Like I'd love to do that. I'd love to work on a music or perform. I'm not the music part, but I don't know. Playwriting seems awesome too, or like playwriting, creating stages, and costume design. Like that whole thing seems just as exciting as movie making, just as exciting as graphic novels, especially if I work with other writers and let's say I like pencil and ink and other people color or whatever. Like that sounds amazing, but it's so hard, and it's like it just takes like quadruple the capacity of like anything else I do.
Yeah.
Including, and you and I have both been simultaneous interpreters for Japanese, not an easy language. I mean, and I've had the handicap because of my native, but we've been part of a pretty difficult field, and the most difficult interpreting can be really hard on the spot, but like it still pales in comparison to like imagining a story and like illustrating it.
Completely different,
Yeah.
Scale or set of skills.
But none of that seems at all as hard as 3D printing and scanning. For real.
I don't think so.
See, then that's
So
kind of
the
where
funny-
we're different,
That's
right?
the funny thing.
Like
yeah.
that's where we're different. And maybe not. And honestly, like when I try things, when I'm forced to learn a program, I actually do pretty well, especially if I'm given a little time to do it. But I have such an aversion to usually just technology in general. Like
Yeah.
I don't like learning new things technology wise, like at all.
Yeah.
I'm probably a lot more willing to learn new physical tools.
Yeah,
But
but you still like adopted the iPad and the Apple Pencil and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You do a lot of drawing with that, right?
Yeah, but that was it was like
That was a big
anxiety
jump for you.
ridden. Yeah, it was. It was very much switching to digital pretty
Yeah.
much.
Well, we've been at it for a couple hours, so maybe we should probably cut this off.
Yeah, maybe Mario and Luigi should sign off.
Oh crap! I never even realized that until you said something. Now
I kind of just noticed.
Now we're gonna
towards
have
the
to.
end.
We're gonna have to comment. This will be Art Love Collective podcast episode 3. Mario and Luigi speak
Yeah.
out.
Because anything else we talk to pales in comparison to.
Yeah, not
Hey,
one comment.
Who's wearing a really red shirt? Who's wearing a really green shirt? Are they trying
It's the
to be
Christmas
Mario and Luigi?
episode.
Yeah, that too. That too.
Oh man,
It
I
doesn't
didn't realize
matter.
that until you said something.
Yeah. If only we would have had maybe like a question mark box here. Just to go like, yep, that's what it is.
Oh man. Well, with that comment, I think we'll go ahead and cut it off. But we'll be back, probably within a couple weeks, and we'll give you some updates on the mural and what we're up to.
Yeah, and we'll put this right up on YouTube. But we're looking for collaborators as always. We're looking for ideas, proposals to like work on projects.
ArtLoveCollective.com,
Yep.
contact us page.
Yeah. So
Also protoceptllc.com for all your 3D scanning printing needs.
yeah. And Art Love Collective it's unless I'm like, because I applied today, it is going to be an LLC as well. It should be in the next few days or however long that takes to process. But Art Love Collective, Protocept, LLC.
Both of them, yeah.
Well, visit both. Contact us. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, all. Thanks for having another get together.
Yeah,
and we'll
for sure.
see y'all soon.
See you later, guys.
See ya.